All right. So that game did not go quite as I was expecting. I mean, the Lakers got off to a good start for the first time in a long time, especially without LeBron, and it was because they allowed Lonzo to run the entire show. So they gave him the ball. They let him do everything on that end. And that is something that's really important for Luke and the entire team to continue to do going forward. Now, with Lonzo out injured, that's going to, become an issue. And so, since we have so many people real quick, we're going to do, one of our giveaways for the NBA bracelets. And so the first one I see to answer the question correctly will get their choice of a bracelet at the end of the show. And so the first question is, what was the score when Lonzo Ball went out with his injury? The first person to answer that will win. And so, this game, a lot of it kind of got decided by that, injury. And so at that point, the Lakers were up pretty big, and, it all kind of slipped away because they had no sense of offense after Lonzo went out. 4 straight minutes after Lonzo started that game, or after he went out in that game, 4 straight minutes, the Lakers couldn't even score a bucket. And, I mean, yeah, they were up by 20, but I need an exact score. And so when you're not able to get points for 4 straight minutes, you really have to, find other ways. I mean, you have to actually just score, right? And, well, I think Lonzo will be out maybe a week. I mean, again, he rolled his ankle, so it's tough. And no, 64-44 is incorrect. It's tough to tell because Lonzo, I mean, he's kind of been a little brittle in the past, and he's gotten injured in the past. But an ankle injury could kind of go either way. You've seen his brother play through ankle injuries quite often. So you could possibly see Lonzo be back, a lot quicker than you would think. I'm expecting a 1 to 2 game at max kind of miss. I don't expect Lonzo to be out a month all of a sudden. I would be surprised if he had any kind of real tear. And no, Kuzma can't create his own offense. He does rely on Lonzo Ball. And that's what I've been trying to kind of get across is, yes, he's good with LeBron. He's good with Lonzo, but he pairs well with them. And, even B.I. kind of stepped up, in that overtime. He hit some shots, even though the Lakers lost, that were impressive for him. Lance Stevenson helped us in the fourth quarter. That was huge, and that's good that the X-ray came back negative. That means, Lonzo may just miss 1 game. Maybe he nor LeBron play in this upcoming Warriors game. And so who knows what happens with that. Maybe, him, LeBron, and Rondo all are kind of out that game. Maybe Rondo comes back if there's no Lonzo. So all of that will be interesting to kind of see what they do. And I still haven't seen anyone say the score. And again, the winner will get one of the NBA bracelets that we're giving away on our website. Whatever the score was when Lonzo went out of the game with his injury. And so, just kind of going into this stretch now we kind of have, I need to put a loss over that Rockets. But so now you have obviously they beat the Thunder, they lost to the Rockets. So they split this road trip just like I kind of said they needed to. But they didn't come out tonight like I thought they would and lay a dud. They wanted to fight, they wanted to play, and they wanted to win this game. They continue to have injuries pile up. I mean, and when you have Lonzo, who went out after playing 22 minutes to get 11 assists, it's hard to win. Like, Lonzo was getting assists pretty much every 2 minutes. He was scoring well. He was playing defense. I mean, there was a lot of things that were going on, and so he really played a huge part in that. and especially on the defensive end, even when you saw James Harden or Lonzo not on James Harden, he was talking. He was talking and he was helping everyone else on defense. KCP was working, but the entire defense was just better when Lonzo Ball was on the court. When he was on the court for those 22 minutes, James Harden had 10 points in 22 minutes. 10 points. In the other 20 minutes of the game, James Harden had 38 points. So when Lonzo was on the bench, either because of regulation or when Lonzo went to the bench after his injury, James Harden scored more and just played better. And so Lonzo wasn't on him, completely, and they didn't necessarily, and he didn't completely get to shut him down like I was hoping, but Harden did go 0 for 3 against Lonzo and didn't really play very effective in his short amount of time. And Lonzo got another highlight in which now he has 2 blocks against Harden. And so Lonzo is continuing to show an ability that he can defend anyone in this league. It's not him just locking up, so-and-so. He is a legit defender, and yes, people will score on him because people will score on any defender. But now the real issue here is, how much will this injury affect Lonzo's rhythm if he's out 1 game or more? And if Rondo comes back with that, starts, plays well, what could that do? Could Luke Walton at that point have short-term memory loss, forget everything that Lonzo just did, and continue to start Rondo if they have some level of success with him? And so, no, I still haven't seen, not when Lonzo went down with the injury, when they subbed him out of the game. And so y'all are close with the score, but that is not the score of when they subbed him out of the game. And so it is going to be tough for them, because you've got all of these injuries, and they're all your primary ball handlers and decision makers. And I mean, BI shows you, no, you didn't get it right. And BI shows you that he can drive. It's not 67-52. That's not what the score was. And so there's certain things that without LeBron and Rondo, it already makes it tough. You take out Lonzo, and you saw how much harder it got for the Lakers in the second half. They were spotted 15 points, and they couldn't win with a 15-point edge without Lonzo Ball. And, I mean, the Lakers' game plan was really, I still have to credit Luke Walton, who also ended up getting, ejected in the game. I really have to credit him just because, they had such a great game plan with the way they were picking up Harden, the entire length of the court, and they were doing that with anyone, whether it was Lonzo, Lonzo, KCP, anyone. They were picking up Harden, and they were making it difficult on him, no matter what. And that's important. And it's going to be interesting if you see other teams do that, because we haven't seen a lot of teams do that to Harden, and, actually doing that to him, I think, kind of made him more and more tired. However, you didn't necessarily see that, because I think after Lonzo got injured, you saw it kind of deflate the Lakers team, and I think it gave the other team a new sense of life. Like, Lonzo went out, the guy who, had 11 assists, was playing defense, was doing a lot of things on the court. He went out, and now, it kind of just changes the game for the Rockets. And I really think that that's just a huge momentum swing that really went in their favor. And no, 69-49 is not right. I'll give you a hint. It was 15 points. Like that's how much they were up by. And so, and so really, it's just it's going to be difficult when you want, I mean, first of all, they're a young team and they're going on the road in Houston, in which the refs were terrible. I mean, actually, let me go ahead and just grill that for a second. The refs for James Harden are absolutely. It almost makes basketball not fun to watch. Like, he literally just gets to drive and get foul calls. Like, Josh Hart has his hands behind his back, and the dude's still getting foul calls left and right. Like, the Lakers obviously don't want to foul. They're trying to do everything they can to not foul the dude. And he's still just nonstop getting foul calls. And, I mean, and a lot of them are so questionable that, I mean, it would be different if he was just getting hacked. But he's not. When you see someone have their hands literally behind their back again and again and still getting foul calls, I mean, it's sad. 16 free throws in overtime. I mean, granted, they had to foul a lot towards the end, but, I mean, it was no better throughout the rest of the game. The Rockets won this game off free throws. I mean, yeah, they did start finally hitting threes, but, I mean, that was just horrible across the board. And no, they don't get a ton of whistles. I mean, Ingram did get one whistle on that jump shot that he may or may not, or probably shouldn't have gotten against Tucker. And so they do kind of go both ways. But, I mean, the game shouldn't even have been in overtime, let alone anything else. They were just like giving the Rockets calls down the stretch, giving the Rockets calls in overtime. And, I mean, this loss really sucks because the Lakers had it. I mean, and they had it especially if they had Lonzo Ball. Like, Lonzo Ball finishes this game, the Lakers win in a blowout, and all that you're going to be talking about is how well the Lakers have played the good teams, without LeBron, and what that could mean for with LeBron coming back. And so instead of us getting that narrative and talking about that, now it's, the Lakers lost in overtime, and the fact that the fact that he went out of the game and they lost the lead, maybe that'll be talked about a little bit in the media for the fact that, they lost a double-digit lead as soon as he went out injured. And so they may talk about that because, that'll obviously get ratings. And I'm really hoping he's not going to be out long. Because especially if LeBron doesn't immediately come back for this next Warriors game, Lakers basketball is going to be pretty hard to watch without a point guard. Like, if we have to watch Ingram, Kuzma, and everyone else go ISO the next game, I'm not watching. Like, I'm sorry, I'm probably not tuning in, and it's going to be the first Lakers game I miss all year. I just don't know if I want to watch that. Like, if we don't have a point guard, it's going to be real tough to look at. I mean, Ingram and Kuzma are just going to be... I mean, you're going to get a whole lot of what you just got this game, where the Lakers just go through huge stretches of not being able to score. And that's what all next game is going to be if all of LeBron, Rondo, and LeBron are out. And so I even saw some stuff about, Lonzo being brittle and all of this for his injury. I mean, people are making it sound like, yeah, he had some injuries last season, but he still played 50-something games. Yeah, he missed, whatever it was, like 28 games. But again, he missed 28 games that year. This year, through this point in the season, he's missed none. And so this whole year, him, KCP, and I think Josh Hart are the only Lakers to have not missed a single game. And so, that's obviously going to be, pretty tough for you. That's obviously a pretty good thing going for him with the fact that he's been healthy this season. And we need him to continue to stay healthy. And so, we want him to get back quickly from this injury. But again, the way he played the Rockets tonight was pretty impressive. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to transfer into this real quick just so y'all can get a peek at what the bracelets are, because I still haven't seen anyone answer the other question on on what the score was when Lonzo went out. I still haven't seen the correct answer. And so here are the four bracelets available tonight, and then here is the other trivia question as well. And so the first two people I see to answer both of these questions will win a bracelet. And so I'll just continue to go over the game though. And so Kuzma, he started out hot, right? He had his highest scoring quarter of his career, in which he started out the game 20 points. He was a big part of the reason the Lakers got up big so early. But he needs Lonzo on the court to be successful. You see that in the start of the second quarter where Kuzma's on the court more, Lonzo's not, and the offense still wasn't all that great until Lonzo gets back in the game for the last 6-7 minutes of that second quarter. And so, you know, they're going to have to, they're going to, 7 assists is correct. Skylar Hyde, you won that one. And so there's still one more available. Whoever can tell me the score of when Lonzo Ball got subbed out of the game in the third quarter. And so really when you're looking at it, Kuzma's just better when he has someone feeding him, because he can come around screens well, and he can, you know, he can slash. And so both of those things kind of, you know, go real well with Lonzo and LeBron. It fits them both perfectly. And that's why Kuzma, in my mind, is still untouchable. You can't ever trade him just because of how good he can be offensively next to LeBron and Lonzo. Now, Brandon Ingram, he stepped up at parts tonight, but there were also times tonight where he really struggled. No, it's not 65-59. I think you got that kind of mixed up there. And so there was just a gap there, and he was just really struggling. And you want, with the way Lonzo's been playing recently, with the way Lonzo's been playing recently, you just can't have, you know, him miss a significant amount of time and screw up this rhythm, because he has been playing very good and just continuing to get better. And so anytime he misses, especially because we're getting closer and closer to Rondo coming back, if Luke wants to start splitting their time, that's going to be a big issue, because I continue to tell you Lonzo's a rhythm player, and he needs to, you know, shoot 10 plus times a night. Now, he didn't get to do that tonight because he left the game early, but he probably would have had he played the whole game. And that's part of what you need out of Lonzo, is you need him to continue to be aggressive, to continue to shoot, and to continue to play his game. And you have to put the ball in his hands. Like, that's something that Luke Walton and the Lakers should be continuing to realize. They have plenty of tape on it now. When the ball is in Lonzo's, when the ball is in Lonzo's hands, you know, the offense flows better. They have more offensive sets. They do more. When it's not, they're going more ISO, trying to go more one-on-one. And pretty much the entire time after Lonzo went out, it just looked like they were playing one-on-one basketball, taking turns of who's going to try and score. And that's a problem, and that's why you have to have someone like Lonzo who isn't worried about how many shots he's taking or how good he is. You have to, you know, more worry about, or you have someone who's more worried about just trying to do what it takes to win. And not every game does he have the same style of impact, but he always has impact in some facet, right? And so you have to. And no, I mean, that's not the score I have for when he went out of the game. I don't have 67-52. I mean, it's close, but that's not the score I have. So I mean, maybe we're. I don't know if, you know, ESPN or what's wrong, but no, I mean, I see your comment. That's not the score I have written down. But again, maybe I'm wrong, but that's not the score I have. And so, and so I'm going to kind of transfer back into the outlook over here for these next couple games. Now that they're playing the Warriors, they said LeBron is going to have his first full practice when the Lakers come back tomorrow. So you're going to have LeBron actually, back on the practice court with the Lakers, which means we may not be far from seeing him get back into the game. Maybe he comes back versus the Warriors. Although I doubt it, I really want to say that, when I really want to say he comes back against either the Timberwolves or the Suns, just because I think he's going to want a one-game kind of tune-up prior to that. And so I don't know if he's just going to want to immediately come in and play the Warriors, especially if he still has other pieces missing. But I mean, maybe he does just because it gives him another chance to play the Warriors. But it also gives, that's only 13 points, you're close. But it also gives, him a chance to see his entire team play the Warriors without him. But also, that's not necessarily good for LeBron, because if the Lakers go out there and beat the Warriors without him, then that kind of sends a bad message as well, because they would have, finished half a game without LeBron, beaten the Warriors another game without LeBron. Then at that point, you have to expect, and every Laker fan is going to expect out of LeBron, well, if we can, contend with them, regular season or not, with this core without you, you should be able to step in and lead us to a championship. And so that's kind of, what's going to, affect it one way or the other. And it's really going to be, kind of tough going down the line and, trying to win without LeBron. Especially with LeBron and Lonzo out. But I really don't think we're going to see Lonzo out too long. Especially because y'all said it did come back negative. That would just really hamper everything that's happened, especially given the fact Lonzo did have 7 assists in that first quarter tonight. That was huge for Lonzo and the Lakers. Lonzo asserted himself in that first quarter in the ball game. He really showed the Lakers, as the entire team, that he can run the offense. Right after the report came out that, he's now untouchable. And so when you think about that, you have Lonzo having one of his best games and one of his best quarters of the season, right after reports come out that he's now no longer available. Lakers won't trade him. They're not shopping him, right? So now even more pressure is taken off Lonzo, because the Lakers are now saying, okay, we believe in you. We're reconfirming that you're our guy. And so they did that today, and now you see Lonzo immediately come in, and make an impact in that first quarter, dishing out assists, having the ball in his hands, completely making an effect and taking over the game. Was 3 of 3 to start that first quarter. Had 7 assists, 6 points. And that's what you want out of, Lonzo. And so it's going to really be, interesting, because now, especially with Lonzo may or may not be having to work his way back from that injury, you've got, and the fact that he's going to have to rework with LeBron and Rondo and everyone to try and figure out who's going to have, the ball in their hands majority of the time, what they're going to be doing. And so it's really tough. And so Luke's going to have a big job on his hand to figure out how to get this offense to be on the right track moving forward. Because we've seen Luke is a great defensive coach. And that's why I've actually kind of switched my the tune I've been singing as far as Luke should be fired. Luke should not be fired. I think he's a great defensive coach, and I think your only chance of beating the Warriors is on the defensive side of the ball. And so I think if you're going to beat them, Luke is the coach for it. But the problem is you have to find more offensively at the same time. Just because he's coaching well on the defensive side of the ball doesn't mean we can give him a pass for being league worst offensively without LeBron, being like 18th or 19th offensively with him. You've got to do better than that. But I think Luke has been making some right coaching decisions lately. I mean, I don't always agree with his rotation calls on Lonzo, and I think the way he coaches Lonzo is still his biggest issue. But he's starting, and I think the entire Lakers now seem like they're having more confidence in Lonzo, and so you're seeing him get coached differently because the Lakers have more confidence in him now. And so I hope that that's going to continue, and that Luke doesn't, go back to messing up Lonzo's rhythm or anything else by playing him, 24 minutes a game so he can play Rondo 24 minutes a game. Like, they don't need to split time. Rondo should come in so Lonzo gets a rest, and he should just be there as a veteran backup point guard that's going to do everything, you need, and even kind of be another coach. But you don't need him taking away from your starter and taking away, rhythm and minutes. Now, if he's completely got it going and Lonzo was off, that's a different story. But just because he's playing well, if Lonzo was also playing well, you still got to pull Rondo to put Lonzo back in, because you have to continue his development by letting him play, especially by letting him play when he's playing well, because that's when he can go out and have great games and continue to build that confidence in himself, in his game, and build the confidence, from his franchise in his game and everything else. And I don't think that's, going to be a problem going forward. And I mean, no, and that's fine. I mean, I just looked at what ESPN showed, and so maybe I'm wrong. But I mean, what I had was I had 69-54 is what I had, and so again, I could be wrong on what the score was, but that was the score that I saw on ESPN, and so and so you have to. You have to take a lot of these things into account. And part of that is... And no, Harden's style... I'm glad you said that. Harden's style of play is not sustainable. It's not sustainable in the playoffs over a 7-game series. And the Lakers showed you it's not sustainable now or even with a LeBron. Like, if they had Lonzo, they win this game. If they have LeBron, I mean, they're still going to win this game. And if they have... and they get to play them in a 7-game series, they beat the Rockets. I'm telling you, the Lakers are really good defensively. And if you think they're good now, wait until they're actually trying on the defensive end with, playoff implications and how well they're going to be able to switch and defend 1 through 4, even 1 through 5. The Lakers are, the antidote to matchup problems. They don't have matchup problems with really Golden State, Houston, Milwaukee, Toronto. Name any of the best offenses in the league, and the LA still matches up well defensively with all of them. Now, maybe they can't outscore them every game, and especially not the Warriors, and so some of those series could still be tough. But again, none of those teams can hang with what the Lakers... Or they can't hang with, excuse that. The Lakers match up so well with them defensively that they don't have any mismatches. It's not like they're going to go be picking on someone unless they're picking on a center or a post. So maybe you could see Cousins a little, and so you really need to see Chandler, McGee, Zoo. That you need to see their development, them playing better post defense as well, because, Boogie did look good the other night in his first game in Golden State. And so there's going to be some tough calls to be made. And, I mean, Luke has some... he does have issues in his rotation, right? Not issues as far as chemistry, but, like, who does he play? Because when people do get chances, they show spurts of playing well, like Lance Stevenson, but the Lakers still lost and couldn't run an offense. So, like, Lance Stevenson earned himself minutes. Michael Beasley's been earning himself minutes. Brandon Ingram even played well in overtime. Kuzma started out great in that first quarter, but what level of, you have to kind of find, you have to balance them playing well with, okay, well, what did they still do wrong? And that's really what you have to kind of try and figure out, because, it looked like a lot of the Lakers played well. They just didn't play well as a team after Lonzo went out. And so that's really one of the biggest things that has to, it doesn't have to change, because you're hoping that they don't have very many games without Rondo, Lonzo, and LeBron. You would just hope that they get to play most of their games with them. But, and I heard someone else say that this team wasn't constructed to play without LeBron, Lonzo, or Rondo. Well, how many teams in the league are constructed to play without their top 2 point guards and their primary ball handler? I would say no team is built to play without that. So, if we are without all three against the Warriors, yes, it's going to be pretty ugly. I can only imagine what it's going to look like. If you remember that Timberwolves game that we really got stomped out in, it's going to look similar. Like, the Lakers will lose by 30, 40, 50 points in that game. And, and a lot of that's going to be because you're going to be missing so many pieces. What are you even going to do? On the offensive end alone, they're not going to be able to really run any sets that are going to frighten the Warriors. Like Brandon Ingram running ISO on KD, Kuzma running ISO on Draymond Green. No, come on, that's going to be a horrible game if we don't get one of our ball handlers back. And that's just a simple fact of the matter. If you expect the Lakers to win a game without all three of them, you're delusional. They could, because it is sports. You have to make shots. Anything could happen, but it's not. It's just not. And so we almost have to kind of skip ahead here, because this next game is almost becomes so uninteresting. Like, it's not often you get to say a LeBron team versus a Warriors team is going to be uninteresting. But this is an uninteresting matchup because there's no LeBron, no Lonzo. And again, like I was even saying with that Rockets game, all the pressure is even more off LA. They have to win to try and, kind of stay in that lower playoff round. But they know they have LeBron and others coming back, and they'll be able to win games. So really, when they go into this game against Golden State, they have less pressure from the sense of they're not expected to win from anybody. No one's expecting them to go in there and come out with a win without all those other players. And so if they go out there firing, hitting, and get out to another hot start and can actually keep it and beat Golden State in LA, that would be huge. I just don't expect that to happen. But again, I didn't expect the Lakers to get out to a hot start tonight because they haven't been doing well in first quarters or fourth quarters, as of late with LeBron out. But they did in this one, and I think a lot of that was because of how much the organization, and obviously the organization said it, and so them getting there, that's a trickle-down effect. And, it was obviously an inside whole conversation, and now schematically, you see the entire Lakers team invested towards Lonzo in that first quarter. They said, okay, Lonzo's running the whole show. He's got the ball in his hands. He's making every pass. He's going to do everything for us. And so that's really what you saw a lot of. And hopefully he's back soon so we can continue to see more. And because at this point, now free throws, injury, his one time, his cramping, if they lose, and, how people do against him on defense. Like, that's all you're going to hear now out of Lonzo's career. You're going to hear things like that because it is apparent. Like, it is a fact. Lonzo Ball is not a bust. Like, there's no other way around it. Like, it is a simple fact. No one can really argue it and have a legit argument calling him a bust because he's not. Now, does he have a lot of things that people can point to still, like free throws and those other things I just named off? Yes, but that doesn't make him a bust. Those are just glaring things he needs to get better at. And so, him going out does, stop us from seeing it for possibly another game, but it also gave us a glimpse of life without Lonzo. Life without Lonzo with LeBron. Well, not necessarily with LeBron, but without LeBron. And so without LeBron, without Lonzo, this team's not looking very good, right? And so now, and now if they have to play the Warriors too, it's going to be interesting. Basically, I mean, I keep saying that, but I really want to see what the Lakers are going to do against Golden State, and I would be more intrigued with Lonzo playing with no LeBron because I would want to see what Lonzo's going to do a play-by-play basis because he's played Golden State so well in his career. And so I really hope that he gets to come back because like I was saying earlier, his brother LiAngelo has had, glass ankles throughout his playing career and is constantly rolling his ankle and, is still finding a way to tough it out and play through it and has played, countless games on a bum ankle. And so depending on the severity and what Lonzo decides, the Lakers decide, whatever, you could see him give it a go. But I doubt it against the Warriors because Lonzo would be running so much against Curry to keep up that it would be hard to, it would be even harder on that ankle. And so I'm not really expecting that to happen, personally. But again, the game, I mean, I didn't predict the score anywhere near right. Obviously, there was overtime involved that changed that as well. And, I mean, I was really wrong across the board tonight on my pregame predictions. I mean, I obviously had the Rockets, winning. And I thought Harden was going to do much worse than he did tonight. But see, when Lonzo went out, he wasn't doing well. His field goal percentage was still decent, but he wasn't scoring a lot because of the way the Lakers were playing him. But when Lonzo went out, he had 18 points, but he only had 10 while Lonzo was on the court. And of those, and then, he finished the game with 48. And so he scored another 30 after Lonzo went out in that third quarter, and he scored, and he scored 40 or 38 total with Lonzo on the bench or out of the game. And so James Harden just played better in general without Lonzo on the court. And it really sucks because we would have gotten to see Lonzo on Harden way more. But again, the refs even screwed us out of that to start the game. It was like the first or second play of the game. James Harden, is on James Harden has the ball. Lonzo's on him at like the 3-point line. And Harden draws a non-shooting foul on Lonzo for his first foul of the game early, like 11-something minutes into the game, or like 30 seconds into the game, but like at the 11-something minute mark. And so now he had to immediately switch off onto anybody else and give KCP the job because, if he stayed on Harden and picked up a second foul, the Lakers were going to get into major trouble. So Lonzo had to switch. Then KCP got the job, and he didn't relent the job going forward because he did such a great job on Harden until Lonzo went out of that game. And because, again, Lonzo was talking a lot and he was quarterbacking that defense a lot. Like, he's growing as a leader, as, you know, both vocally and with his body, like his actions. You see him, like, clapping, motioning, pointing. Like, and so you can just see Lonzo growing as a player, even not even just in all of the little things that we're naming, but you see him growing, you know, stats-wise. You see him getting, you know, 11 assists in 22 minutes, which his career high is 13, right? So Lonzo most likely would have had his career high in assists tonight, but injury, you know, stopped that from happening. So we were on our way to seeing a career-style night. Now, Harden is the MVP, right? I mean, you don't really have a choice in the matter unless LeBron came back and the Lakers went like 16-4 over the next 20 games. Harden's the MVP. Like, there's at this point, unless the Lakers just get crazy, stupid good when he comes back. That's LeBron's only chance. And even then, it becomes slim if the Rockets continue to win enough to stay a top 4 seed, because Harden is just doing so much offensively and doing things that we haven't seen in, honestly, in years, in decades. I mean, because we can't even say Kobe anymore, because, Kobe's part, in a lot of ways, his was more impressive because of the amount of free throws Harden shoots. When you just look at stats, Harden's box score is impressive on a nightly basis. Scoring 40-something points every night. He was averaging 42.1 coming into tonight and scored 48. You got to give it up to him. You just do. Harden's, he really is the MVP. And I've never been trying to discredit, him or any other of the stars Lonzo lines up against. I really think Lonzo's being undervalued for what he provides defensively. And again, it's going to be interesting because the Lakers are showing you against better teams, at least better teams when they don't have a LeBron, that they can compete and even win. So and playing, this kind of way, right? And so they've seen that, and that's why I keep saying LeBron needs to fit in. He needs to become the role man. He needs to, get more in pick and rolls with Lonzo. Him and Lonzo need to have a way better two-man action, and they need to run, a lot more, kind of making LeBron be a bigger, faster, more technically skilled Karl Malone. Like, if they do that, I'm telling you, the Lakers could almost be NBA champions this season. If Lonzo was just running the show, passing the ball, and LeBron was focused on scoring and defense, the Lakers could actually be really good. But I don't know if that would be what they're going to do. I think you're going to instead see LeBron still try and run the show. I think you're going to still see a lot of Lonzo going to the left and right corners, and so it's really going to suck, because until they can find a way to properly play off of each other, then one of them's almost just going to be underused. And again, I just feel LeBron can do more at this point than Lonzo can on the court. And so that's why you have him play off ball. And I don't know. And it's just going to be, I don't know what you're saying. It's a reactionary statement. It's not reactionary. Lonzo should run the show, and LeBron should, play a little more off ball. It's not just this one game. I'm saying it in all games. They just would be better. Lonzo's shown an ability to run half-court sets, any kind of sets. No, the team hasn't been inconsistent because of Lonzo Ball, though. Lonzo Ball hasn't been the problem. The problem has been injuries. Even without Lonzo, if you look at tonight, because they were winning, and again, you almost have to throw it out the window because I guess you don't know. But let's say they won because at least they were winning when Lonzo went out the game, right? And so, that you have them going 3-2 in their last 5, 5-4 when they have Kuzma playing. Now would have been 6-4, but they lost, so 5-5. And then, and when you look at it, they've played well, but they don't have a lot of pieces, and they don't have shooters. And this team isn't built to play without its top scorer and top scorers. And that's why you saw them go 0 for 3 against, the Knicks, Thunder, and Timberwolves, in which Kuzma didn't play. But what are you expecting? You're expecting the Lakers to win with no LeBron, no Kuzma? Come on. How many teams are really winning when you take their best player and their best scorer off of their team and, have them go forward? Not many teams are going to win like that. And, maybe you could say the Celtics, but, Gordon Hayward went out game 1. They got to play 60 games, develop something. Then Kyrie went out, and then they only had to play an 18-20 game stretch and then playoffs for you to see. They didn't have to play a full 82-game season without all of them, see if they can make playoffs, and then see. It was a little different dynamic, and they lived up to it. But they had a ton of pieces and veteran experience, and Brad Stevens was coaching great all of the way around. Now, the Lakers, I just don't see how you would expect them to have played much better. Now, that Cavs game was inexcusable, but then they go and beat the Thunder and give them an inexcusable loss. And so those two almost just kind of even out, and you've seen Lonzo be more aggressive. To where really, if you go back and look, his only bad game over this entire stretch was against the Timberwolves. Against the Timberwolves, he played bad, but he only played 23 minutes. He looked unengaged, and he just didn't look like he wanted anything to do with that 2-center lineup that Luke Walton had started. And so I almost give him a pass for that game. If you go look at his other bad games on the offensive end of the ball, shooting the ball wise, the Pistons game, he had 11 assists, completely controlled the game, and was great on defense in helping on Blake Griffin, completely impacted the game across the board. Then in the game against the Thunder, completely shut down Russell Westbrook for the first time, ended up doing it again, and you could say Westbrook does that to himself, whatever. But he shut down Russell Westbrook to a historically bad triple-double. And, he was ineffective on offense. Was 0 of 4 shooting and just kind of stopped shooting, right? And so, obviously, or I don't even know if he was 0 for 4. I think he finished with 4, 3, and 4. So maybe it was 1 of 4 and hit a free throw or something. But again, when you see those things, he has had some duds. But if you just look at box score, okay, he did. But then if you go by and look at just game by game, Lonzo played really well during the entire stretch without LeBron. Starting with the very first game. No LeBron, no Rondo. Lonzo came out and played great against the Kings. Now they lost that on a last second shot. And then the next game, Fox had the better of him in their matchup, but the Lakers won that game. And so it's really being misconstrued that Lonzo's been the reason for any of their struggles. Lonzo's the only thing that has kept this team from not being 0 of 11 in their what are they now? 12 games in? 5-4, 5-7. Yeah, and so 5-12. The only thing keeping the Lakers from being 0 of 12, 1 of 11, 2 of 10 over the last 12 games is Lonzo Ball. If LeBron and Rondo were injured and Lonzo went out as well, these last 10, 12 games, the Lakers lose every single one. Every single one they lose without Lonzo. I mean, you can call that inconsistent, but they need him. They needed Kuzma too because they need it for spacing, but that's why every player is important, and I'm getting and it makes me upset that so many people want to pit the young core against each other because they're obviously they have trade value and they want their guy to be more important than another guy, and so they're like pitting their stats against each other on a nightly basis instead of just being happy for what each guy can give you and that they can give you multiple different things when they're not going. Because even when Kuzma doesn't have it going, if you want to say he doesn't rebound well, doesn't defend well, isn't even a great passer, if you want to say all of those other things, what he does do, even when he's not scoring, even at 4 of 18, he's spacing the floor. Because he spaces the floor well, and he helps the rest of the players help get open, get into their spots, just because the defense is worrying about Kyle Kuzma. Because he is proving himself to that degree. And so we're going to go ahead and kind of wrap up tonight's discussion on that note, and we will be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to give you our weekly NBA recap, to kind of go over the whole week, and we will talk a little bit about the AFC and NFC championships for football tomorrow as well. So we'll mix a little football in, and we will give you an entire slate over NBA, and we're going to talk MVP, the most improved, rookie of the year, kind of talk all of the awards, and we'll have another giveaway tomorrow during that time as well, in which we'll give away more of the NBA bracelets for some of our trivia questions. So stay tuned to that, and if you won one of the bracelets tonight, please retweet this broadcast, and thank y'all, and tune in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to Unique Sports Live. Thank y'all. Have a nice night.